The royal coat of arms, displayed above my head, was forged in the aftermath of the bloody English Civil War. It exposes the perennially delicate relationship between religion and politics. At the top of the board you can see the date marked 1660. This was the year when royal authority was stamped afresh on England at the coronation of Charles II. The 11 years since the decapitation of his hapless father Charles I had seen the country lurch through weak parliamentary governments and the personal rule of Lords Protector Oliver and Richard Cromwell. This was an era of puritanical austerity. Theatres were shut and even Christmas was banned. Reacting to such instability and sobriety, many longed for a return of the former order. Royalists celebrated the restoration of 1660 as an opportunity to bring back the good old ways. They thought that this should include a strong alliance between the Crown and a national church led by bishops. The trauma of the mid-17th century played out in every local community. Here in St Michael's, Abraham Spencer had been vicar for nearly 3 decades when he was evicted in 1645, presumably for royalist sympathies. In the years which followed, a series of Puritan ministers came and went. The last of these, Nathaniel Partridge, had the misfortune to be in occupation at the time of the Restoration. Partridge couldn't reconcile himself to a church which would once more be ruled by bishops, so he in turn was forced from the parish. Abraham Spencer, by now an old man, returned as vicar to enjoy a few months of Cavalier splendour before his death in 1663. Maybe it was Spencer who oversaw the triumphant mounting of this coat of arms of Charles II in St Michael's. The coat of arms is dominated by a lion and unicorn, symbols of England and Scotland. If you look closely, the lion is resting its paw on an English rose, while the unicorn is pricked by a Scottish thistle. The central belt contains the slogan of the chivalric Order of the Garter, while at the bottom the royal motto, God on my right, shouts out the Cavalier belief in a nation where church and state act as one. Up and down the land, each parish church was required to mount a coat of arms like this. It would have been placed above the chancel arch, the most prominent position in the church. This is the location where in the Middle Ages the Doom, a scene of the Last Judgment, hung in St Michael's. Where once the congregation had been exhorted to look to Jesus for their eternal salvation, now they were reminded of their earthly duties to a king who many regarded as ruling by divine right. King and bishops in Restoration England thus nurtured a mutual dependency. They sought to build a new order which marginalised those who couldn't conform to the national church by instilling a moralism that included deference to those in authority. It had not always been so. Until the Roman Emperor Constantine became a Christian in the 4th century, followers of Jesus had to walk a tightrope between faith and life in the empire. On the one hand, St Paul enjoined them to peaceable coexistence with the authorities. On the other, Christians refused to serve in any military or civic roles because this required them to recognise the emperor as a god. This caginess on the part of Christians led to suspicion and to intermittent bouts of persecution. The proximity of church and state then has waxed and waned over the years. Sometime after the reign of Charles II, I presume during the 19th century, St Michael's royal coat of arms was removed from the chancel arch and tucked into relative obscurity on the back wall of the Lady Chapel. The Church of England is still the faith by law established in this country, but we live in an age where religious identity is less fundamental for many, and where Christians are perhaps more willing to speak truth to power on issues of social justice. Just as the mounting of the royal arms signified one thing, so its relegation is an acknowledgement that there are alternative Christian approaches to civil authority.